everyone, it's Robin. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I have a craft project to share with you. I have been so excited to finally get back into crafting. I haven't had much time for it lately, but I was like, I need to do this. So finally got something done and I really like how it turned out. The project I want to share with you today is this hand-painted banner. I really like how it turned out and I'm very excited to share with you how I made it. So let's get to it. So the first thing you'll need is some fabric. This is a leftover piece of drop cloth that I had sitting around, so I cut this to size and then I added the point at the bottom. I did not finish any of the sides because I don't care if it frays or not. If you're worried about that, you may want to finish up your sides with either some fusible webbing, seam stuff, or just a quick sewing machine. The next thing you're going to want is some sort of graphic. I printed this up off of my computer. The next thing, you'll need some tape and you'll need some pencils. I started out using a regular old pencil, but then I switched over to a mechanical pencil because it seemed to work a little better. So either one will work. You'll need a ruler and you'll need some paint in whatever color you decide to use. I decided to go with black because I'm going with a black and white theme. And then you'll need a paintbrush with a very thin tip. I have no idea what size this is. It's a 0. This is just a little set that I got for Christmas, and I think it's the Michaels brand of paintbrushes. Anyways, just something with a very tiny tip. You'll also need a dowel. This is already cut to size and I used a miter box to cut mine, but if you happen to have pruning shears for your garden, that will work on this also, up to about an inch, half inch probably, depending on the set of your dowels, which makes cutting these really super simple. I've used those in the past and they're awesome. And then you will also need either some liquid stitch or a glue gun and some glue sticks. And finally, you're going to need some sort of string, twine, yarn, ribbon, whatever. Today I'm using just some twine. Alright, so the very first step of this project is to lay out your fabric. Make sure your fabric is wrinkle free and you can lay it out nice and smooth on a work surface. I am just using my self-healing cutting mat for sewing. I use it for everything. Alright, so you're going to want to position your graphic on top of it, making sure that you're leaving enough room at the top to go around your, around your dowel. So once you know how much space your dowel is going to take up, it's easier to position your graphic. And then you want to just make sure that it's even on the sides and then on the top and the bottom as well. So then what you're going to want to do is add just a little bit of tape. I'm just using Scotch tape, one on each side of the design, just to keep it in place so it doesn't shift around, because you're going to be doing a lot of tracing and then flipping it over to make sure that you've got a line. Okay, so you're going to want to take your pencil and you're going to basically use your pencil to break the paper along your design. Now, depending on how hard you push on the paper with your pencil will determine if you actually have a line to follow on the other side or if it'll be more of an impression that you make with your pencil. So I started out first off going through and making sure that I had an actual pencil mark coming through, but that was very slow and tedious, and as I did this longer, I got better at it, that I didn't actually need to have the pencil mark. I would just follow the divot that it made. Hopefully that makes sense. But anyways, so then just flip up your design and kind of retrace the line to make sure it's nice and dark for you, and then flip back down, start up where you left off before, do a little bit more, flip it back, make sure it's there. You can see either a line or a divot, and just follow the divot with your pencil and fill in the design. So you just do, basically that's all you need to do to transfer the design onto the fabric itself. I don't know of a better way. There must be a better way, but I don't know it. And I probably have some sort of equipment. I don't have any other equipment to do this, so I'm just doing it freehand. Now, if you're good enough to freehand this onto the fabric, that would make your life a whole lot easier. Because this is very tedious. I think it took me about probably 20 minutes to transfer my design onto my fabric using this method. So once you have finished transferring your design, you can remove your graphic, and this is what it will look like. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if it's going to show up. So there you go. So you have your design, and this is the lines that you will use to paint your design onto the fabric. Now we get to do the fun part. You need to grab your paintbrush and just a little bit of paint at a time. And basically you're just going to start painting your lines. You want to make sure that you just start with a little bit of paint on your tip of your brush to start with. Just dip it in and then slowly start painting. Like that. And you'll find as you're going over this, especially if you've got like a fabric that doesn't lay, that has like little bumps in it like this drop cloth does, sometimes you kind of have to go at it from both directions. But for the most part, you just take your time and you just start painting along your lines. And it's pretty easy. Like that. So there you go. It's pretty much that simple. It'll take some time. You're definitely going to have to be patient with this project. But you'll just basically just try to make it lay flat while it's drying, and just kind of not touch it while it's drying. And just continue to paint all the way around. So I have finished the painting. I've let it sit overnight and it's all dry and it's ready to move on to the next step. But before we move on, while I was painting this, it dawned on me that you could probably do the same sort of thing just using a Sharpie. So of course I had to try it out. So I transferred some of the letters onto just a scrap piece of paper, and look at that. I did this one with a Sharpie and I did this one with the paint. The Sharpie that I used is an ultra fine Sharpie, and it's got like the felt tip, really super tiny. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that very well, but anyways, just in black. It's a rather old one, so I don't think it's, you know, it's sort of dried out a little bit. So I didn't get the intensity that I did with the paint, but this look is very similar. Then I also tried another kind, which is the marker type. This is a fine point one also, and that made this design over here. So, a couple different options for you. I prefer the painted because it's a little more pronounced, but the Sharpie version works just as well and is much faster if you're in a rush to get this project done. So there you go, little food for thought for you. Okay, so moving on to the next part of the project. This is where we are going to add the dowel to the top of the banner. I cut the dowel so that I have an extra inch on both ends to attach the twine to. So my banner is about 12.5 inches wide and my dowel is about 14.5 inches wide. And when after you get done cutting it, you'll want to take just a little bit of sandpaper and just run it over the edges so you don't have any, you know, little wood burrs to get caught on. So basically, I have decided to use my glue gun for this next step. Alright, so you're going to want to flip your banner upside down so that your right side is facing down. And then we're going to add the dowel using a hot glue gun. And basically, we're just going to run some glue right along this edge at the top. And then we're going to put the dowel right down on top of it, making sure we are positioning it so that we've got that inch overlap on both sides. So we're just going to hold it on there. Let that harden up a little bit. So that looks like it's good to go. Alright, so then what we're going to do is we're just going to roll the dowel down the fabric until we kind of have where they meet up, so we get an idea. So just roll it down. There we go. So I'm going to back it up just a bit, and then I'm going to add some more glue. Like that. And then roll it down on top of it. And hold it in place for a minute or so. There we go. So then we should be able to flip it over. There we go. We got our dowel onto our banner. Super easy. Alright, so I'm just going to grab my twine. Move this down so you can see a little better. There we go. And I'm simply just going to tie it onto one side. I'm going to give myself a nice long tail so that I can tie it around a couple different times. Scooch it over. And I want to make sure that my knot is like at the top where I want to hang it from, but we can reposition that later. Give it a good double knot. Like that. And then I don't want too much slack, so this is where you have to decide how much you want it to hang down. Okay, so I'm going to give it about 4 inches, about like that. So I'm going to tape this down just so I can visually see where I'm at. Okay, so there we go. So I have the tape down onto my mat, and then I'm going to just simply tie the other side on. Wait, I'm going to trim it, make it easier to tie, and then just simply tie a little knot. Then you're going to want to trim these little, what do you call it, the tails on both sides. Double check that it's going to hang the way you want it to. Perfect. So it's hanging nicely. And then I'm just going to add just a teeny tiny bit of hot glue just to this knot so that it doesn't come undone. And I'm just going to kind of drip the glue on there. Kind of squish it in there so it's not real noticeable. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Alright, so once the glue is dried, you are done with this project and it's ready to hang on the wall. Yay! Thanks so much for watching and have a good day.